All right. Mike Vasilikos here with my good pal, Brian Nick, the introductory episode of the DMB Top 25. I guess we'll call it a podcast, although it's not really a podcast. Maybe it is. Anyway, it's an experiment. I think we could say that.
Yeah, we've
Um,
been talking about this for a while now.
yeah, we're longtime friends. We go back, and together we've been fans of Dave Matthews Band since the mid '90s, and it was actually after a show last summer that we were talking, and we were sort of like debating different things about the band, and we're like, hey, this should be a podcast. So we're committed to doing what we're calling the top 25 uh, studio recordings from Dave Matthews Band, and that's over the next several weeks what we're going to try to explore. And today we wanted to come on and really talk about what this was, why we're doing it, and set up some of the ground rules, so to speak, for how we're going to be attacking this.
Yeah, I'm going to set this up by giving people a sense of what to expect from each of us as we go through this. So if you picked a random group of 100 people and I was one of those, there's a pretty good chance I would know more about Dave Matthews than anybody else in that group. If you took all the winners of that contest and put them into a group of 100 people and picked one, Mike might know more than all those other people. So there's levels of gradation here when it comes to the historical knowledge of the band, their entire catalog, all the live shows. That's you. And I'm like, I've listened to a lot of the studio recordings. We both did like, you know, driving around Long Island during the 90s, early 2000s, looking for live show recordings before you could get the stuff online. But that's our history. I think we say we've been going to these shows together since 97.
'96 was my first show, which we'll talk
But
about
doesn't count if you
today.
weren't with me.
But
I
I
went with
wasn't
a
with you.
girl in
97,
96. No, that
97.
doesn't count. 97 is
Yeah,
the first
that was
official
our
Mike and
first.
Brian Dave show.
Yeah. So we're gonna tackle studio recordings, and we're doing this for very specific reasons. So under the table and dreaming through Walk Around the Moon, um, we are not doing live material. So I know there might be some people crying that like the Remember to songs are not going to be included in here. We're not doing unreleased stuff, things that the band has played live, even if it's like a tune like Granny, which has been around for a really long time. We're not considering those. These have to be on like the first cut of the records, the studio recordings. No soundtrack songs, no weird Dave singles or collabs with Neil Young or whomever else he's worked with and recorded with over the years. But we thought we it was important to set up some guardrails, right, to kind of like box ourselves in because when you're talking about songs Dave has written and played live or whatever, it's pretty vast. But Brian, I want you to talk to this too. There's so much subjectivity around like the Dave material. These albums feel like to me like the textbook, and the album is still sort of an important concept, I think, to both of us. And when you write a song, you sort of have a vision, and recording it to an album is your way of fulfilling that vision, even if over time you're performing those songs and the songs change and evolve and everything. So we sort of wanted to get to the textbook recordings and the textbook representations of these songs.
Yeah, I always think it's like when you're taking like a introductory course in college, right? Like you're learning the basics first. There's other things outside of that universe that you are eventually going to learn about. But for somebody who is, like our kids are relatively young. My oldest is 13. She's not going to go to a lot of Dave Matthews shows and appreciate what these songs have turned into in terms of the live experience. But she will listen to the studio recordings, especially if I put them on in the car and take the phone away from her so she can't change it. And I think that makes the most sense. If you were doing an advanced version of this where you're going to talk about all the songs and how they've evolved and you have to rate them based on the live performances, that would be much more difficult to do. And also, it would be harder for people to actually access the songs that we're talking about. So we're sticking with the studio recordings. We'll talk along the way if we go through these, how they're different live, right, as they come up on the countdown. And we might even talk about at some point some of the songs that didn't make it to the list because they weren't eligible, but are still songs that we love. I was going to ask you, is Chris Whitley Radar eligible for this list? Because I
I
listened to
love
that
that
song.
song.
It's a
I know.
great song. Great
I love
song.
that song. That could be, yeah, that's maybe that's a podcast down the line, like best songs Dave has
I sung a
appeared
little
on.
bit on.
Yeah, just a little tiny bit,
Absolutely. Yeah.
or that he signed to his label. But so the way this is going to roll out today is just sort of an introductory, how we're doing things. And again, if you want to give a follow on Instagram at the DMB Top 25 is where you're going to find us. That's our handle. But each week, I think we're going to try to tick off like 4 or 5 songs an episode. And we're going to try to move rather quick. But here's the thing: Brian made a list of his top 25. I made a list of my top 25. And what we're going to do, how we're going to roll this out, is we're going to reveal these to each other. And we don't know each other's lists. So our reactions hopefully will be authentic and sort of match your reactions sometimes to to where these songs land. So I don't know if at the end of the day we will have sort of like the definitive list, but we'll have your version, we'll have my version, and we'll debate them along the way.
People can make up their own minds, and we might have a separate discussion once the top 25 list is out, where we can really point fingers and criticize one another for our choices.
That might happen along. That might happen along the way
It's going to
too.
happen a little bit along the way. What happened right
uh,
now? I don't know.
yeah. So as a little tease to get into it, we're actually revealing our number 25 songs right here, right now on the introductory episode. And I should note we're gonna have like a little kicker question at the end of each show, just sort of like DMB history and things that we've like have fun with the band. Like who's the favorite musical guest you've ever seen appear with them live, stuff like that. We'll talk about that just for
Yep.
fun. But do you want to get into it? Do you want to reveal your number 25?
Let's go.
We've been talking about this for months. It's taken a minute to get it up and running. So I've been really itching to hear your list and to get into your list. And at number 25, I think I have my kids drum set somewhere nearby, but I'll give you the number 25,
All
Mr.
right,
Nick.
number 25. I'm going to tee this up a little bit before I reveal the name. This was my first favorite Dave Matthews Band song. I bought this album called Under the Table and Dreaming. I'd seen one of the videos on TV. I ran through the entire track list, and my favorite song, the first time I went through it, was called Lover Laid Down. Uh, the fact that there was a soprano saxophone, which I was playing at the time, and the only frame of reference was like Kenny G. And then if you heard a saxophone and like a on the radio and with like a band, it was playing like sort of like bops in the background. It wasn't this song is basically, I mean, you could listen to this song without Dave's lyrics and just hear Leroy Moore
Yeah, it's
play,
a
and you would think it
beautiful.
was the melody.
Yeah,
And I mean, this song's about 5 minutes long. There's like 2.5 minutes of legitimate song with lyrics. And then it basically turns into where Leroy's playing the melody and Dave is almost doing the accents and accompaniments. Like the lyrics over the last half of the song don't really say anything. It's just sort of Dave kind of almost providing like the rhythm for Leroy to just do this beautiful, these riffs. One of the first things I did was I got my notebook and I listened to my music book, and I listened to the song over and over again, and I transcribed everything that Leroy was playing because I just like I wanted to play it too. So it really like it was sort of like my window into the band. It's not the most exciting song on the album. There's other songs from that album, obviously, that'll be in my top 25, but it's just beautiful. I think the lyrics are beautiful, and it's one of the songs that made me fall in love with the band. So I thought it was appropriate to open the list with it.
yeah. I think it's one of their most beautiful ballads, and I think a lot of times with like the softer Dave songs, they tend to be of that like first encore variety. Like the minimalist, just Dave and a guitar, maybe Tim playing along, or it's like the Dave Stefan Carter combination there. But this is one of those like full band
It
ballads.
builds. It builds. You
Yeah,
think it's
and
going to be when it starts off, you think it's going to be that first encore song.
right.
It's just one guitar riff. There's a little bit of saxophone noodling, and it's Dave singing. And then it really does, like a lot of his songs. We'll get into this, right? A lot of they just kind of build and build and build. And by the end, you have Leroy playing like these castles of notes, and it's really just lovely. I love
Yeah,
listening to that song.
it is a Leroy shining moment song. Like
It
it's,
is.
if people want to say like, what was Leroy like? Like give me like an idea. Like there's a lot of songs that he's represented well on, but that's like the sweet side of Leroy that's hard
Mhm.
to replicate.
Yeah. And it
Nice
was
one.
nothing like it. There was no other song, like there was nothing on the radio that had a saxophone that was that prominent in the song. That almost was the melody.
Yeah. Nice pick. I like that
Thank you.
at number
Thank you.
25. That feels solid.
All right.
Um, all right, I'm going towards sort of the other end of the spectrum in terms uh, of albums, and I'm going down the line quite a bit. At number 25, Drunken Soldier, which is the final track to Away for the World. And there was a part of me, it's not my favorite record, right? And I think I suspect if you ask Dave, it's a record that he's not totally pleased with. But that's just gut, right? I think they tried to do the Lily White thing again and try to recapture the magic from those first three albums, and it
Mhm.
didn't totally stick.
It doesn't
But
sound like anything like those other albums.
it doesn't. And they tried some stuff, I think to sort of like um have a little bit of connection, like some of the interludes and stuff and like people talking over songs or what have you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't quite work. However, I just applaud this song because of the ambition of it. I think I'm right here. It's the longest song they've ever recorded on a record.
How many minutes does that song go until somebody says something? I think it might be
there's
like
some, but
three
there's
minutes.
some like chatter. You know what
Yeah,
I
that's
mean?
right.
Yeah,
Somebody's
yeah,
talking, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
There's like a little bit of chatter.
yeah.
But I'm one thing I'm fascinated by with this songs, and I love all the different parts to it.
Yeah, it's like four
And it
songs.
yeah, and this is like what I love, and I love like talking to artists about how they conceive songs and how they. And I wonder if this was like what I like to affectionately refer to as like a musical Frankenstein. Like I wonder if Dave had all
Sorry.
these sort of like ideas
Yeah,
and he just sort of stitched them together. Cause like I don't know how you get from some of these the way that they constructed this song is so like wonderfully
yeah.
bizarre. And it starts and ends in a beautiful place. Like Dave has a ton of these, and making the list, it was really hard because he has
Mhm.
a lot of these like seize the day songs, you know. This one I think is a pretty good one. Don't waste time trying to be something you're not. Right? He feels like he's like imparting these like lessons, like a
Yeah.
father would to his kid, and he's
I
in
was going to
that.
say that. I think every lyric in this song is something I would say to my kids.
Yeah, try and listen to your heart. Be kind always, no matter.
No
And then
matter.
the mortality sets in. Shine your light while you got one.
Yeah, I
You
got
know
one.
what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I and to, again, like I'm making this list, and the Holy Trinity, right? With Under the Table and Crash and Before These Crowded Streets. I was like, I want to make this list, but it's really not fair to just be like, I'm really just going to pick the
I'm
songs
just
from
going
those
with those
records.
three. Right? That's,
Like you can be 30, 35 years old and a legitimate Dave fan and love him, and you're going to shows every summer at this point now. Um, but you're 15 and it's 2005. You know what I mean? So you miss those first three records completely in
yeah.
terms of going out and experiencing them as they
Right.
were happening. So I really wanted to give this whole thing like a really good once over. And not that I'm picking a song from every album. I don't think that's the case, but this one just felt like it was ambitious. I like that from them, and I do think it's a pretty darn good song at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think there's also a trend, and we'll probably get into this as we go, that the last song on Dave's albums are often very interesting, musically interesting. Like
You consider number 34 the last song?
I don't know, maybe, yeah. That one's
I guess
weird.
it is,
There was only
right?
like putting the CD in on that one and watching the thing go up like 1 second until you got to
Yeah.
34. Yeah. But
Yeah. And then it's like, yeah, Proudest Monkey, Spoon. They all breathe.
yeah.
They all
Yeah.
breathe
Yeah,
pretty
they
well.
do. They don't have short and sweet at the end. It's these very kind of
Yeah.
expansive go anywhere songs. Yeah, I love that song. It's a great pick.
Awesome. All right. So only one tonight. We'll go, I guess, 24 to 21 or something next time we meet. But at the DMB top 25 is where you'll find us. I'm Mike Vasilikos. This is Brian Nick, and I asked Brian to come up with questions, like little kicker questions at the end of every episode. And I had my answer, but why don't you set up the question?
Okay, so this is sort of a getting to know you for us. We have obviously done a lot of driving around, going to lots of Dave shows. But the prime was sort of late 90s till sort of mid 2000s. That was when we were sort of unencumbered and there was a lot of touring going on. I asked Mike to come up with his funniest story that involves going to a live Dave Matthews show.
Funniest story.
Funniest
Okay, so
story. Funniest thing that happened
all right, so
that we can repeat on Instagram. I mean, there are some things that we can't talk about.
all right, so I'll. This is a bit self-deprecating, but I'm going back to my first show ever. So I'm 15 years old. I'm falling in love with this band from Charlottesville, Virginia. I see that they're coming to Jones Beach, June 9th, 1996. I'm gotta go to the show. I don't have a credit card. I don't really have much money. So I say, and you had to go to I had to go to the video store to buy tickets. Like you would go to like
The video store.
Video Quest or something and stand
Right,
in line and
right.
wait for them to open. And that was the Ticketmaster location. So naturally, my mom, I had to go with my mom, and we're waiting on a line. We're the second person in line, and we get in there and we buy 4 tickets for that show. I'm going bananas. This is going to be so much fun. And I remember when I got home, I was like, all right, I'm going to invite Brian and John and Jim. I think that's going to be the full. And my mom was like, you didn't pay for these tickets. We're going as a family. And I
I was
was like,
wondering why I didn't get invited to that
what do you?
show. Now I know.
So long, to cut it down a little bit, my first Dave show was with my mom, my dad, and my little sister, which, you walk into that situation, I'm horrified. I mean, there's kids from high school there, and you're just like, I can't believe this. This is supposed to be like this moment, like my first big concert, you're stepping out and I'm here with my family. But it speaks to the band because all of a sudden that all melted away once they started playing. And I was like, man, if I could enjoy this in this setting with this anxiety it just melted my anxiety. This is my all-time favorite band. But the funny part of that show is Dave played Proudest Monkey, and he told this story about monkeys getting it on as the inspiration. So you can
All
only
right.
imagine
I
you're sitting
remember.
there with your parents as Dave is telling a story about monkeys doing it.
Yep.
And that's the end. I was like, oh boy. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to forget. I'm never
It's
going to forget this.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. A little bit uncomfortable.
this isn't my funniest one, but my first Dave show was with at the time my girlfriend. I think it was the summer after the one you went to at Jones Beach, and I only knew a couple of songs. I wasn't like a huge Dave head yet, but I remember he started playing Ants Marching, which is a song I came to see. And the crowd's going crazy. And she said, like, I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, well, have fun. She was like, can't you like escort me? And I was just like, what am I doing here? Why am I with this person? But
It's
yeah, no, well, that wasn't the funniest
very
one. That
Seinfeld.
was,
That's very Seinfeld of you.
yeah, no, it's very Larry
Yeah.
David. Like
She
we're
went to
looking
the
and I'm like,
bathroom during Ants
during Ants
marching.
Marching. Like,
It was
how
never going to work out.
it's
Yeah.
never going to work out. But the funniest story, so there's a lot of them, but the one I'm trying to think of one where just you and me were going. There's one that's a little bit maybe not PG rated that I won't tell. There's another one that's funny too. We went to Hartford and we had like no plan really. I think I had driven there and we went. You knew the opening band or the band that was like on the side stage, and
Yeah.
we went and see them.
Yeah.
And it was great. It's like,
Yeah.
and I'm just the whole time, I get anxious. I'm like, how are we going to get home? 'Cause we live like what we live like 2.5 hours from Hartford. So after a
Yeah.
show, that's pretty late. And I get marching orders like my mom's like this was like in the year before, maybe before I got married, like right around that time. And she's like, you don't try to drive home. You need to stay in a hotel. And we had no hotel booked. We
Right.
had no plan. And
We
our plan
winged it.
was basically just to drive and just to go to hotels and ask if they had any. And we
Right.
went to
Yeah.
like 3 or 4. And finally they were like, we have one. It's like it's smoking room. The carbon monoxide detector might not work, but like it's available. It's on the ground floor. Like all the red flags about everything in a hotel. But we slept soundly. But
Yeah.
I just remember
Beautiful.
thinking like, if we don't hit this place, we're gonna have to drive home and gonna get home at 3 in the morning.
Well, the funny thing, if I remember correctly, about that show, and I don't want to get the opening act in trouble, but yeah, I knew the opening band at Hartford that show, and I remember they were like, "Yeah, we'll get you on the list or whatever," but I don't think they did. And I didn't they like open up a gate and didn't we walk in? We walked like in a side gate and like hung out in their trailer for a
We
little
did.
bit. Like
We
we
did.
never actually like went through the gates to get into the show.
No, no. I don't know. Maybe we didn't. Do we not get into the show? Did we just watch from outside, or
No,
we?
we got in and then we just walked out onto the lawn. I mean, at that point you're golden.
Yeah, that's right. The
Yeah.
lawn is the great equalizer of people who have tickets and people who might not.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Great stuff. Well, I think plenty more laughs as we do this thing. Hopefully, it's more than just you and me listening. Instagram at the DMB top 25. This is, I guess, episode one, and we'll kick off with the full tilt countdown next time we get together. Brian Nick, always wonderful to see you.
You too.
Eat, drink, and keep listening. See you soon, buddy.
Yep. Take care.